Hello and welcome to the Evolve with Latoya show. I am your host, Latoya Watson, and I am so glad you are joining me. I will be taking you into my personal world and teaching you how I have evolved from being a teen mom to now being a successful entrepreneur. I will be bringing on special guests, and many of them are very close to me and have been a part of my healing journey and how I have evolved, and they are experts in their field, from the financial industry to physical health to mental health, to spirituality. And I am just so excited about this. I am hoping that each week you will be able to learn something new so you can continue to evolve and heal and navigate life. I know life can be very stressful. And even though life is stressful, there are ways that you can still find hope and joy and peace. So I hope you enjoy this show, and I'm so excited to continue to evolve with you all. Take care. Part two.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought about another outlier. There may be one that's scheduling. Like in your business, like you're intentional about time and you're scheduling. So that actually may work in relationships.
Managing that piece of
like being intentional about date nights and things like that.
Yeah.
That may work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't really think of too many
things that work, like what you do.
Areas. Yeah. When I think about the leadership role, I don't want to be a leader in my relationship, especially because I have to be a leader in my business. It's tiring. What do they call it? Decision-making fatigue is a real thing. And I feel sometimes I have that. By Friday, I'm like, I'm tapped out. Yesterday, I felt like that. I'm like, I'm tapped out. I don't want to have to be a leader in my relationship and making all these decisions. And no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
I
get it.
Yeah. But I know that is not always easy for people to step out of that. And again, we're at an advantage because we're familiar with this, but I think it's different to, I guess almost this would be code switching in a different way. Right? Like turning off your leadership, and if you're an entrepreneur when you're in a relationship.
Yeah. And it goes, I think it's for both genders. That's why I think sometimes some things that how you show up in your business or for work works there, but doesn't for your relationship.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the main thing within your relationship is being mindful and present.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I wanted us to also talk about at the core with the 7 C's, being curious and there's no agenda. Can you expand on that? Because I love that.
So earlier I spoke about how the parts come up and healing and giving them what they need. And ultimately in IFS, you're looking for self to lead. And self is when you're able to sit in your C's. We call them the 6 C's. So it's confidence, calmness, creativity, clarity, curiosity, courage, compassion, and connectedness. But the main one that we'll go to kind of maybe lead is curiosity. So, yeah.
Curiosity. Yeah. Being curious instead of like assuming.
Yeah.
Making assumptions.
When you're able to sit in that, you have no agenda. Self has no agenda, right?
Versus my princess part. She has a agenda. She doesn't want to be told no.
Yep. Parts have an agenda. And so sometimes people could be like, oh, okay, well, if you lead with curiosity, doesn't that have a part? It could. And that could be, that may be a part, right? So curious, just, I'm curious. I want to know. That's the part as compared to I'm curious.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a bit of like IFS. Ultimate goal is to sit in self energy, which is just a little bit more mindful and present.
Right. And no judgment.
Yep.
Right. Not judging the other person or yourself, which is difficult because we all have a critical part that is just there. And I often have to like pause, like I got to check her. And being curious, what's the word? Oh, you also say compassion. There's a word related to like playful, right? I have a very playful part. And she is, I think sometimes she teams up with my impulsive part to book a ticket. And I've been having them all in check lately because I'm on a strict budget. And because my playful part is just like, girl, we've been working hard. Like, it's time to have a little fun. Let's just take a little quick trip. Yeah.
And yeah, that's probably that part of me that also is tired of the adulting. That you spoke about earlier.
I haven't complained on Facebook in a little bit about adulting. It's still early in the year. I'm like, it's only January. It feels like May. It's only January. But anyways, yeah. So there's not a C necessarily related to being playful. I guess it's kind of
playful has an agenda.
I never thought about that.
It wants to play.
But but that will help to get to
sure. And that's fine, but it still is a part. It still has an agenda.
I never thought about that. I always saw her kind of as like, not the gold standard, but it's okay. This is good.
All parts are okay.
Yes, that's true.
Because they have good intentions, but the way in which they go about it sometimes is not the best.
Yeah. Because all she wants to do is play. We wouldn't make any money if she was in control.
There you go. Yeah. And can you leave space and time to kind of acknowledge those parts? And or are those parts tired and they're open to like being relieved?
I don't know why I just did that deep breath.
I would step away from the playful one, but maybe consider the other one.
I think I did the deep breath because I think part of me was just like, I want the playful part. Yeah. I think almost like maybe I felt like you were trying to come for her.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm just like, I backed up.
She keeps me sane, y'all. She keeps me. That's how I can continue to function, really, and be in a good place is when I have my fun time. And sometimes that looks like for me just going to the gym in a group and my gym classes that I love to go to because of the people. And then I feel connected there. So you see why I think I got a little confused? Yeah.
I'm glad I was able to clarify for you.
Thanks. I think
we got questions. Oh, before I forget though. So one beautiful thing about IFS is that it doesn't pathologize. So there's no diagnosis. You're just curious about your different parts. And
Kasandra does have openings if anyone's interested. We'll talk about that then. But I'm just, dropping in. I only interweave it into therapy because I'm not at level 2. So,
but you are
what, the intensives?
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to maybe talk about intensives with combination of IFS or in?
I will at the end.
Okay.
Only because I think that takes up a different part of me that I feel like I need to be like in this serious type of role.
Okay.
Because the business, it's like the business part of me wants to, and so I don't want to shift out of that yet because I think it might be hard to shift back. We probably sound crazy.
Okay, let's go to the question.
Yeah, let's go to the question. Hey, Devon. What are your thoughts on sacrifice? How much of it should someone be willing to accept? I need more information. What are you thinking? Like sacrifice when dating, when married.
Okay, we can. Okay, so if we look at this through an IFS lens, I can only imagine it's a part of you that's willing to sacrifice, and I'm guessing there's a part of you that doesn't want to or is struggling to maybe sacrifice. So I'd be curious, what are those more about those parts?
Mm-hmm.
But that probably doesn't answer your question. Go ahead.
Because even the definition of sacrifice, you're giving up something, you're losing something, typically for another person.
Mm-hmm.
How much of it should somebody? Yeah, I need a little bit more information.
So my traditional CBT clients or just regular therapy clients, I will sit with them and maybe talk about their values and explore their needs, goals. So sacrifice towards your personal or even business goals?
Life goals. We need more details. What? Yeah, I would at least business or because like I have one of my life goals is marriage, but then I also have business goals.
Well,
but go ahead. You want to? Something just came to mind. Business, education, marriage, of course, all of them. I will say personally, when it comes to sacrificing in business, I have to say, I feel like I've sacrificed a lot of other goals for business goals. Mm-hmm. And I have some regrets about that. Mm-hmm. I have sacrificed a lot of time and energy in business and in higher education. And I haven't put in the same amount of sacrificing towards relationship goals, which is part of the reason why I'm not married now. Like, let's be real. There was some years I didn't date at all. Mm. And that was not by choice. There was a time where I purposely and intentionally didn't want to date. But then when I was ready, I spent so much time on business. And yeah. So good question, Devon. It really has me thinking. What are your thoughts about it?
I would reflect on what do you really want? Yeah, as well as your values. Because I do feel like anything in which you want, there's going to be, I don't know if I would maybe sacrifice. And I don't know if I would use that, but something is going to have to give. Yeah. In college, what had to give was like I had to have more structure and study time, so not as much time with family, traveling, and things like that. So there's some things that you do have to give. And when I say values, is figuring out at this time what is most important to you. And so at that time, it was school. So sacrifice comes with it, and it's getting to be okay. But really checking in with yourself to see, is that what you want? Yeah. Are you doing it because your shoulds is telling you that you should do it? Or you truly want it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Quiet. Anything that you really want. Oh, you have a time limit on yours too?
Oh my gosh. Sorry. Yeah.
That's okay. I think you have. Oh, there it goes. I thought you had to put in your face.
Oh, you missed the one up top. It says, they agree that your experience often shapes your reality.
Yeah.
I cannot see.
Yeah. And back to the other question that we were answering.
Oh, another one?
Yeah. No, Ellery just said very helpful. I also love that you mentioned trust and how that can certainly play a role. Mm-hmm. The vulnerability question. Mm-hmm. I'm still trying to figure all this technical stuff out. I need a tech team. I keep saying that. It's going to happen. I'm going to manifest it. Anything else coming to mind? We've been on for 42 minutes. Oh, thanks. Yeah, those are the main things. Other questions that people may have.
How did we come up with the topic? Why did we?
Because we wanted to talk about parts work, especially with dating. And I think last thing I'll say, any final advice or tips to give to folks dating? I have some thoughts coming up. Yeah, I was just saying that. Like Keisha said, what are some critical takeaways for us as listeners? Yeah.
That's a hard one. Let me think about that.
I was thinking about being curious.
Oh, yeah.
I really think that is a C that, and maybe not as challenging to get to as like, it's not always easy to show compassion to ourselves and to others, right? Being honest, but being curious is more, I think, may come a little bit easier because it's kind of neutral, right?
I think once again, it depends on how you see curious. Can you be curious without an agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you be curious about yourself and how you show up, whether we're talking personal or business? Yeah. And being just a little bit more present in the moment in both of those settings.
Yeah. And some examples of being curious. I would say, again, trying not to assume. Even I love to give people the benefit of the doubt. And I know that also does not come natural for folks. What do you think about that?
I don't know about that wording.
What's wrong with my wording?
The benefit of the doubt?
Giving people the benefit of the doubt? Because if we're assuming people don't have good intentions and not being curious,
why does that even have to come up if you're curious? Like, it's okay to, like, if you think that they have not the greatest intentions, just be curious.
Regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
No agenda. Just be curious.
Yeah, see, it's still a process.
Oh.
For me.
Which is interesting because I keep realizing that some things are just, it's like, oh, I don't think like that. Like, oh, maybe because of the trainings and it's just been engraved in me. And so I'm just like.
Level 2. Yeah, it's okay to be curious about people's intention.
Yeah.
And I think that's my own thing. I go into,
you go.
I'm being vulnerable. When getting to know someone, and I hate to say this because you hear more, and maybe this is my reality, I hear more negative things. So I do, if I'm meeting somebody for the first time, brand new, someone interested in me, I'm not being curious with them. I'm not being curious. My guards are up, which they should be to a certain degree. We cannot be so, and it's not being naive, but we cannot be so open to where we could potentially put ourselves at risk. It is a level of safety, right? Wouldn't you agree?
I mean,
so can you be curious and setting boundaries? I think that's my own thing that maybe I struggle with. So I feel like guards got to be up.
So once again, a great example of how like, as you're dating and parts work, it's about you. Yeah, like how you show up in your relationship is about you.
It is my own stuff.
You can't be present and sit with a new person because you're just too worried about what they got going on and what their intentions. Just enjoy the date and be curious about this person. As you're curious about this person, as you're curious about this person, things will come up, and you'll naturally, I believe, you'll naturally begin to screen this person, but in a healthier way.
Yeah.
But it's your parts that you have to work on.
Thanks. This is turning into my therapy session. Yeah, other takeaways. Being curious is a really good one. And also, what would you say? So for people who are brand new to parts work or hearing that, any suggestions you have to help them with like being present with themselves?
Before I would even suggest being present, I would suggest maybe some homework to do. So like when you catch yourself saying like a part of me this, a part of me that, I would just jot that down. At first, you're going to feel like, oh my gosh, I have like 50,000 parts. Don't worry about that, because maybe as you sit on these different parts, you'll recognize that, oh, they're all together. So like I said before, I have some parts. So I have a Bertha part. I have a huge caretaker part. I do have a goal-oriented part.
Can I chime in?
Sure.
See, the part of me that is like a little on guard feels like she's got to protect that caretaker part, because I have that also. And people can be takers. And so...
Yeah.
But I know you're going to say you can still be curious.
Yeah. And I also feel like, if anything, those parts are saying that they don't trust self and they need you to do a better job with setting boundaries.
Yeah.
So you just do a better job with setting boundaries, and both of them wouldn't have to work so hard.
And see, nothing has even come up. So this is like all old stuff from like several years ago that obviously, I still have to work through.
Maybe. Or check in with your parts to see like, are they willing to like let go of that?
Yeah.
Or have another role, sorry. Or do something different. Yeah. Do they need you?
They do.
Okay. Yeah.
She's such a therapist, y'all. Okay, I was jotting down notes in the chat for folks. So making notes, you said, of...
Oh, yeah.
When you use that language?
Yeah. So a part of me blanks, a part of me blanks. And I was rattling off mine because it took me a while to identify those parts. It was a lot of list of different things. And I was like, oh, that's the same part. You know, they're real defined, right? Now they're real defined of who they are and how they show up. So I would at least say that and just get to know the different parts of you and see if you can bring them together. The other thing that I have noticed in IFS, in the trainings, they'll just flow through with like different parts. I would say kind of suggest giving your parts a name. So like I said, I have Fun Lady, I have Bertha. Those are like real defined names.
I haven't given mine names.
Yeah. And maybe they're not ready for names, whatever. I'm not sure. But like as you do the work, I don't know. I feel like it's helpful. And not only that, if you feel safe enough, you can tell your support system like about these parts, and they can kind of identify the parts. And so now when you're going off, it's like, okay, I see you in Big Bertha mode. It's not a dagger towards you. It's towards the part.
Yeah.
Because first of all, couples work with IFS is beautiful, right?
Are you taking couples?
I am not.
Okay. I know. Sometimes I have people reach out to me. I don't do couples is a whole specialty niche area.
I would love to get towards that. Regular therapy, I could do it, but IFS work, I would want to do just a little bit more training, because it helps you to identify your partner's part. So it just is a beautiful flow once you figure out like how to speak to your partner's part. So
yeah. Another critical takeaway I would say is being mindful that we are all operating from a place of what am I trying to say? Like, I'm trying to say, like, it's not going back to what you were saying before. It's not about the other person. It's about you.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That is, make that sound pretty. Say it in your IFS language.
As a takeaway?
Yeah. Like, it's not about the other person. It's about us. It's about our parts, the work that we have to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not? What's wrong with that wording?
I don't know. I'm being critical of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to put that in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Or do you have another takeaway for folks?
One would be to see if you could do that activity. 2, sit some more with your different parts. 3 is call out your parts. Call out / acknowledge. And remind yourself that all parts are welcome, right? Even if you have a caring part or something, like the part's intention is probably to make sure your needs are met. Whatever, to set a boundary, whatever. We don't have to judge it as a good part or a bad part. But I think if you do those 3 steps, you'll begin to see like a change within yourself. Maybe not as reactive, but you will notice that you become more curious. And it's not in a place where you're trying to change the part. You're just curious about the part. So, yeah.
Yeah. Curiosity is really key and really helps me, especially one last thing that I'll say about, like, if I'm in a, I know, how many times have I said that? We're about to wrap up. It's almost an hour. Like, in a meeting with other folks, and again, I have to like be curious, because like if I hear something and I feel like it's going a different way, I have to check myself, like, be curious. Sometimes I write on the top of my paper, be curious. Don't assume, like, yeah. Why are you laughing? What is that? I feel like do you have a story?
No, not my story to tell, just you in your meetings. Yeah. You said that part comes up in your meetings?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just remembering.
Oh. Yeah.
The story you shared. That's it.
It's like, what? Where is she going with that? It's like, be curious. And sometimes I'm wrong, but sometimes I was right. They're taking a laugh. But sometimes it's like, yeah. Sometimes it's like, oh. So thank y'all for rocking with us. Kasandra, tell folks where people can find.
Hold on, tweet. You're missing right there. That one, right?
Oh, it's okay to be curious about people's intentions. Oh, I thought I read those.
You did?
I thought I did. When you're I didn't read this one. When you're a caretaker, people tend to take advantage. It's true. And then she said, that's why you have to set boundaries. Yeah, boundaries is key.
Yep. And it's okay to be a caretaker with boundaries. Easier said than done.
Yeah.
Actually, I would have to say 80% of my caseload are caretakers, right? And that's what we're working on, just setting boundaries.
Do caretakers, you think, tend to go to therapy more?
We can go to a whole nother episode about what I think about the population that attends therapy.
I'm going to chop this up for the Roku show, so it doesn't really matter. It's up to you.
I believe that the men who come to therapy make the most progress.
I do. I see that too. I thought about specializing.
And I feel heavy with saying that, but that's what I have noticed.
But do you think they're more of a caretaker?
Yeah, they have it. It feels like their intention for therapy is a little bit different than the women.
Yeah, especially if the women in their life encourage them to go, or something.
It's
happened.
I'm trying to think. I think most of my male clients, they just seeked it out
themselves. Okay, I've
Females
had some men come in and say, like, my wife wanted me to go, or my job wanted me to go.
Just one. Everyone else came in.
Nice. Yeah. Do you mind sharing, like, were they?
We're gonna take up more time.
Okay, we're gonna.
If you want to hear more about that, maybe
we're gonna
another.
Yeah. I'm just. Oh, Instagram cuts me off at an hour. No, I was just curious about that. That says a lot about, because I think I had looked up the statistics before and I posted it. I think it's like 10-20% of men in America have gone to therapy or coaching.
Oh, really?
It's a really small percentage. Oh. So that just speaks volumes, in my opinion, about.
I think men just use therapy differently than females.
Oh, that's where you were going with that. Yeah.
I think I'm beginning to learn, maybe it's the gender, like, norms. They're
very goal oriented, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
they tend to be like semi in and out. So across the board for my clients, like, when I first start seeing them, the first 3 months, I will see them frequently. So we're addressing and implementing like self-soothing skills. And then usually year 2 is where, after they've kind of known me and we have a therapeutic relationship, that's where we go a little bit deeper. But it feels like for men, still the same 3 months or whatever, but a little bit after that, they're doing some deep diving, and then their frequency of services drastically changes, because they got the most for stuff. They got what they needed, so to say, and then
they're like, we're good.
Yeah, and so they'll come back a little bit, but not the same. So it's just nice to see the evolution of like my male clients. And what I will say too is, so before the pandemic, I didn't see men, and then during, I started to see men. I started to accept men, male clients. So yeah, it's just interesting.
I know it is, because I think the ones that I have worked with also, they come in typically. You give them certain tools, or we process through certain things. Yeah, they're very goal oriented.
Damn.
And I think because they're not designed to be as emotional as we are, and I think our emotions can be a barrier for us in therapy. I don't know if I want to say it's a barrier, but because so much comes up for us, and with men, I don't think they have to process through all these different emotions to make progress as we do.
Okay, yeah. And
you're gonna bring up the parts.
No, well,
this is a part.
Okay, yeah, parts. So maybe as a female, like, a lot of parts come up. And maybe for a male, because they're so goal oriented, it's like, yeah, a lot of parts may come up, but I'm just here for this one thing. And they're able to kind of hone in. They're curious a little bit about the other parts, but just that one thing. I do believe therapy is like an onion, and like you go in for one thing and you just notice more. But I feel like maybe like as females, like it's just so much.
Yeah.
Just like males, so much, but like wanting to focus on every single thing, so it just looks different.
Right. No, I was just thinking about something, because my own I lost my train of thought, but yeah, I think.
Your
Oh, when
journey.
I was thinking about my journey, but also thinking about my interactions with men. I don't tend to see so much of men's different parts as I do with women. And it's when I have my parts hat on, when I'm thinking about that, I'm mindful of that. I'm thinking like, well, geez, I have all of these other parts that are always coming up throughout the day. Even during our time, I'm sure there was different parts that came up. Yeah.
Okay, I can agree with that. Yeah, with my female clients, I could see several different parts.
Yeah, they have
Male
like theirs
clients,
in check.
I don't know, or maybe it's not as awareness, or it's maybe still that goal oriented. So it's only but so much that will pop up. Maybe.
Yeah.
Good point.
All right. So, thank you for joining.
Thank you for having.
Yes, I appreciate you. Please share where people can follow you on social media.
Well, I'm not.
If you're on LinkedIn,
I am on LinkedIn, but it's not active. So
we're gonna tag you because it's on LinkedIn.
Oh, but I probably won't. If they inbox me, I probably won't
check it.
Yeah.
We'll talk after.
Instagram, I'm up there, not as active though as well. I'm in the midst of like shifting my practice. So you can reach out through Instagram.
Or email. I'll put your
definitely email. But I just want to hit the social medias real quick because I know that's a lot of people's go-to. But I believe it's ACT. Okay, it's ACT Services LLC. Apple Cat Tom for ACT.
ACT Services LLC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then website is actservices.com. Email is actinfo@gmail.com.
ACT Services LLC. Okay. I'm sorry. Say the email again.
actinfo.
Okay.
@gmail.com.
I would love to hear thoughts about the parts work. For those of y'all who caught bits and pieces, what are your thoughts about it? Have you ever heard of this term before? Any other questions that you have? I'm definitely going to bring Kasandra on for part 2. She is also, ladies, the one who went with me when I was looking at rings and making my wish list. We're going to do a whole nother show on that.
Lord.
Okay, actinfo at
Gmail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somehow I missed that part. That was such an experience. It was a beautiful experience.
Yeah, it was.
A lot of different parts came up.
Yes.
And I thought you were going to say something. So I have a couple different Instagrams. For those of you who don't know, I am at Single Ladies Coaching, and I'm also at EMDR Intensives. And then on Facebook, Latoya Watson, and LinkedIn is the best way. I'll also put my email if people are interested or have questions. I would love to hear your feedback. You'll be seeing me more as I have committed to do this.
Yes.
And that part of me that is like the overachiever part is like, girl, we're going to get you together. You're going to do this, and that will be it. Yeah, but thank y'all for joining in. I hope y'all have a fabulous weekend. Be well. May you continue to evolve.
Oh.